this skill determines what kind of life you live. What am I talking about? In this video I'm going to be laying out the most important skill that is truly going to be defining your success, but also happiness. And no, there's no way you can be successful without this skill. This is going to be the structure of this video. So first, who is this for? 2, what is the skill itself? 3, why you should care about mastering this skill. And as a bonus, I'm going to be explaining how this skill has been the most important skill ever amongst us human animals. And I will provide you with some information on how you can start to learn this in the best way. So let's go ahead and start. So 1, who is this skill for? If you are an artist in the Web3 space, this matters more than your art. If you are an Instagram content creator, this matters more than anything else when making content. Or if you are at a 9 to 5 and you just want to live a happy life, this is for everyone. Every single one of you watching this video can benefit from this. So what is this skill? People skills, human communication. And yes, this is a skill and this can be learned. Now, we all know to an extent how to communicate with another human being. Like, we can talk. Most of us, we are able to talk. And some of us then are very extroverted. So it's not a problem to go out and talk to a person. No problem at all. But maybe those extroverts still struggle to have very deep conversations about things because they don't really know how to advance from the small talk phase to a big talk phase. And then there are those introverts or shy people, these get often mixed up, who struggle to go to talk to a stranger. And that's okay, but that can be learned. And that fear of going to speak to another person or not knowing how to speak in the best way to another person can be the thing that is stopping you from achieving your full potential. And that most likely is because who you know matters a ton, but what matters more is who knows you. But in order to have people know you, you gotta put yourself out there. The key point here is that everyone can improve and must improve. Some extroverts are terrible at making first impressions and then they struggle to make actual great friends or network with some important people. And then introverts, they are afraid of going to speak to a person in the first place. So everyone can improve. Now, some people are really bad at this, like I was a few years ago. I was extremely shy kid, and me getting bullied at school did not help this at all. Of course, then I was even more afraid to go to speak to people. Basically, I talked to no strangers, especially when nobody forced me to speak to somebody. I just stayed by myself. I didn't go to people. I was known for staying at a certain corner at my school, just being there all the lunch breaks. I didn't even go for lunch and just avoiding people in the first place. That's what I did. I was incredibly nervous to say anything in class. I was shaking, sweating, just to answer a basic question a teacher had to say. And I barely made any presentations at the secondary school, and I did not make a single speech in front of the class. Sure, there was the bullies out there that were the main thing I was scared of, but overall, that environment, speaking in front of people, somehow seemed impossible. Although this of course wasn't impossible, but I just didn't know how to be in that position. And to this day that I'm recording this, I have made one single speech in front of a class, and this was at the high school after I had got rid of the bullies, and then it was much easier for me to overcome this fear of speaking in front of people. Let's hop forward to the beginning of my artist career in the Web3. Clubhouse came around at the start of 2021, you might remember it or then not, but it had these kind of rooms where you could go and speak. So there's like a stage with a host, and then the host could give the mic to the speakers and then they could discuss about different kind of topics. And then there was a listener section where you could go and listen to. This is where the NFT space kind of started. The very OG people talk about this time when they gathered at Clubhouse and they talk about things for like many hours late at the night, and they had the most amazing conversations ever that they cherished. And there they made the most deep connections and the first connections that then actually have moved their career forward a lot. And yes, I got into Clubhouse as well. However, being someone who was always afraid of speaking in front of people and speaking to people overall, I found it terrifying. Even the small rooms where there was like a few people, I didn't go them. Now remembering, there might have been like a room of like 3 people and I might have hopped onto that. But I never hopped to another one. Not to 2 rooms, maybe 1, not more. It was terrifying, and especially seeing when there was like people I had looked up to speaking there, and then I would be speaking to them, but also not only speaking to them, which is already alone like really nerve-wracking, but I would be also speaking in front of other people who are listening to. So that could be 20 people, 30 people, 100 people, a few hundred people, maybe, or also like thousands of people, depending on the room. I couldn't get myself to do that. I believe I didn't get myself to do this because 1, I had never done that before, and anxiety is born when your brain can't predict the outcome. And 2, I believed I would stumble in my words. And 3, I was extremely afraid of what others would think of me. Do I regret not hopping in? Absolutely. This would have advanced my career so much if I did have the networking skills and the people skills to just go and introduce myself and tell who I am, what I'm about, what do I do. I believe I would be right now in a totally different place if I had done that. Regrets are part of life, so you shouldn't go and cry about them exactly. Just see what you could have done better and then improve, and that's also what I have done. Let's forward to 2021 autumn. 2021 autumn and 2 reasons on how anxiety is born. So there was a Twitter space, and by then I had grown extremely tired of myself being so afraid of going to speak to people. Twitter spaces are pretty much the same thing as Clubhouse rooms. And yeah, I wanted to change this up. Like now I had got enough pain from this. I can't tolerate it no longer. I need to change this up. So I noticed this Twitter space hosted by a couple of amazing photographers that I looked up to a lot. And still do. They are absolutely amazing. So the space was coming closer and closer, and I started preparing for it. How did I prepare? I wrote every single word what I wanted to say on my Notion. Every single one. That was my way of reducing the anxiety, because like I wanted to know there's no way I'm gonna now fuck this up. There needed to be a guarantee that it won't go terribly for myself. And because how I was extremely harsh to myself at the time, I would have like probably never come to speak again to a space, because I would have been so harsh to myself and said like, what an idiot you are. You're going there and trying to speak, and like, who do you think you are? And that kind of stuff. Although, which is actually absolutely horrifying self-talk, but that's how I was back in the day. So the moment arrived, the space started, and they asked who wants to go first. I was like, no way I'm first. I mean, I didn't say this, but I was thinking like, no way, don't pick me. Luckily there was somebody else. And then after them, it was like, okay, who's next? Not me. And this kept going for 1.5 to 2 hours. I was afraid of saying I want to be next. And then everybody else had spoken, so there was no choice then for me to speak. I was the last one. And so I opened my mic and I said hi. Immediately, there were some problems. Not at my end, but at one of the host's ends. And this made me already like regret hopping on, because I was thinking, like, is it at my end? I didn't know it was at there. And yeah, I couldn't hear the other host. And then it got a little weird. Not maybe awkward, but this small thing made my anxiety rise even more. If the start would be smooth, then I would have much less anxiety. But then I got started after the host told me to go ahead and tell my journey as an artist, as a photographer. And then I started to read the script they had, word by word. And I think it went quite well. But then at some point I stumbled a few times, but I kept going, because I knew it would be even more embarrassing if I would just stop and quit. And especially, again, considering these both were people who I looked up to. And I don't want to fail in front of people that I look up to, because how they're gonna look at me then? You know, that's what I was thinking. So I kept going. And then after some time, I had read my last word and it was over. And then I said thank you for both of the hosts, and I felt absolutely relieved. I had never felt that relieved before. Like, I had overcome this fear that had been bugging me for extremely long time, for years and years. And now I had taken the first step to overcoming this fear. I was very proud of myself. Even though I was the last one to speak, I did not turn back and go hiding. And this space gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of faith, showing that maybe this isn't as difficult as I thought it would be. And then I also knew after the first space like how this kind of go. So then I went to more and more spaces to speak, and I told my story more and more. And then I soon started to host my own spaces. And then they started getting like from 20 to 70 people, which was crazy to me. The first space had like 20 or 30 people listening to me, I think, the first time that I spoke. I had overcome my fear, yes, by taking a leap of faith, but also by learning about this skill. So why did I tell this story to you? Because we've all felt anxiety when going to speak to somebody, whether it's a stranger or a celebrity. We have felt anxious, and maybe you did relate with some of the story that I just told. Maybe you understand now a bit how anxiety is born, but to still summarize and put it in a very simple way. 1. Anxiety is born when your brain can't predict the outcome, and 2. When your skill doesn't meet the challenge. If I was a professional speaker, do you think it would have been terrifying for me to go to a space of 30 people where I can't even see the other people's faces? Now I'm gonna go through how did I learn these skills in the first place and how you can do the same, and most importantly, why you should care about developing a deep understanding on people skills and human communication. Now that I was about to face people in real life, I couldn't run away anymore. I had to learn these skills. And so I started. I bought books and I studied them deeply. I watched a ton of YouTube videos and spent insanely much time watching them and studied those deeply. And I was listening to podcasts and studied them deeply. And I just kept going on learning more about the subject because I have finally understood why this is so important and how big of a difference this skill of people skills actually makes. You are getting paid more. You get more opportunities. You can handle arguments and awkward situations better. You can explain your ideas with much more clarity. You'll be able to be more confident in social situations. You'll be able to make a great first lasting impression without using a word. You'll be able to thrive in networking events. You'll be able to start and end a conversation without awkwardness. You'll be able to read the other person, their emotions, and know exactly what to say and what to not say, and much more. Manpower Group made a survey of 2,000 US employers, and it found out that 61% of American companies rated such soft abilities as communication, collaboration, and problem solving as the most desired skills in prospective hires. Nearly everything requires collaboration of some sort, and with great communication skills, you're even better at them. This is how you get the biggest opportunities. 99% of my greatest opportunities have come from social situations, from social interactions with another human being. I've perhaps been chatting with a collector, or a curator, or a massive artist, and they have recommended me to another person after I have been speaking with them about whatever. And this goes on. Everything just expands. I recently did an open call for art to be displayed at MetAms with MetAms, and I'm gonna be personally attending this in November. And this is a conference around crypto, metaverse, and basically people come there to network mostly. And all I did to get myself to curate art for the event was to send one single message on LinkedIn to the co-founder of MetAms, because I had met him the previous year, so he knew who I was. And I want to make a speech at an NFT conference very soon, and I've met some people who are selecting the people to speak at the conference. So I feel like this also enhances my chances by a ton, because they now know who I am and what I am like. Many of my collectors have bought my art because of what kind of impression I've left on them as a person. After we formed that relationship in person by chatting about all kinds of stuff. In Sons, France, where I was networking a month ago, I connected with lots of people again, and I talked about a possible collaboration with a huge artist. I got to know and spend a lot of time with one founder of a super space, and I got to know one massive curator and art collector who's been in the game for decades, and I really connected with him very well, and now he's a great friend of mine. And guess how I found this friend? He was next to a DJ, just like vibing for like a few hours. And I was like, God damn, like, is he ever gonna leave? Because how I've been studying networking events, I realized there, if I went to speak to him, it would not really allow us to connect on a deep level, because one, it would be me disturbing him when he was enjoying himself, although most people do not mind if you go say hi to them. But as he was vibing, he was not in the mood of networking. Other people who wanted to speak, they weren't close to DJ, they were like outside speaking to each other, where it was much more quiet. And that comes to the second point, that it was way too loud. Because like, if I would have gone to say hi, he probably would have been able to hear me, but we could have not had a deep conversation without going somewhere else. And when talking with somebody requires you to switch a location, it is much more less likely to not happen, because there's much more restriction. So what I did was, I went to network and talk with others for that few hours, and then at times I went to give a little peek, like, is he still vibing there, or has he left? Then I just noticed him leaving the DJ and going outside, and then when he was outside, then I went to him, I introduced myself, I left a lasting great impression, and I used all the techniques I have learned along the years. And now we are currently onboarding myself to Maker's Place, and we're seeing what kind of exciting stuff we can do. This all was because of my people skills and what I have been learning and obsessing about the last 1.5 years. I have not been speaking about these skills a lot, only to a couple of people, and I feel they are thinking I'm crazy when I've been like actually obsessing on like how to read like small movements on a person's face to know what to say next and all kinds of stuff. The best thing is that these are evergreen skills. They don't expire, and you always need them for any area of your life when you are interacting with another human person in a way or another, whether it is through content, or if it's in person, or if you are just chatting. That is communication, of course. Career, relationships, whatever, this helps. Communication has always been the most important skill of the human animal. Human evolution and survival are because of our ability to tell stories. We are communicating. Before we had invented any letters, we told stories by speaking. Since then, being able to communicate has been the most important skill of the human animal. So let me give you an example. You are a hunter-gatherer now, imagine that. And you are in the wild, and you encounter a bear. And you somehow survive that bear. And you run as fast as possible to your tribe, right? And you tell about this encounter. You tell that you were hearing noises around you in the dark, but you didn't see anything, and then suddenly a bear comes at you, and then you scream like a little girl, and then you start running back, and then it was at this location, don't go there, it's dangerous out there, something like that. You tell a story, and you warn them through that story, and you tell the story in a way that makes everyone else not want to go to that location because it is dangerous. Without this ability to tell stories, we could have not been able to communicate and warn people about the dangers for us to survive, and that's why it has always been our greatest ability, skill. And now we live in much larger circles. Like back in the day, we lived in a much smaller circles, but today our circles are huge. We might have less and less like true friends, but we know more and more people, whether it is by going to networking events where there might be hundreds, if not thousands of tens of thousands of people who to connect and talk with. Or if you are not going to them, then you probably are on social media and you see people everywhere. You see videos of them, you see photos of them, or if you don't see any of them, then you see them still commenting, writing. And now in this age, we are the most connected we have ever been. And that's why the people skills are more in demand than ever. Now, of course, it's not anymore down to exactly survival level, although if none of us could communicate, we would all die. But fewer and fewer people have the necessary and amazing human communication skills. And this is because although there are more people now who we are connected with, but we still interact much less with them compared to when we were these hunter-gatherers and we had maybe like 20 people around us. My hope is that after listening to this video, you have a better idea on how much this skill actually matters to you and why you must master it to improve your life and avoid a lot of pain in certain situations. So how to learn all this stuff? You can start by watching YouTube videos, buy books, or just throwing yourself out there and learning on the go. But all of this takes extra time and you will never get time back. That's the only currency that can't be earned back. And it is difficult to find the correct information that you actually need and that actually works. I believe it's much easier if you can get somebody to guide you through all the learning process. And that's why I'm offering my own personal help. I'm excited to present to you today Social Mastery, a live training I'm gonna be running on the October 23rd. I'm going to go through it all. My promise is that after the training, this is how you will transform. You can get more opportunities, can handle arguments better, can get paid more, can eliminate the awkwardness in conversations, can explain your ideas with much more clarity, will be able to be confident in social situations, will be able to make a great first impression without using a word, will be able to thrive in networking events and no longer waste your money with them, as now you can actually network, will be able to start and end conversation without awkwardness, will be able to read the other person and their emotions and know exactly what to say. No longer will you painfully watch the opportunity slip by your fingers, as you didn't know how to approach someone, have extremely awkward conversations, run out of what to say, have to think whether you should hug or handshake someone, read the other person completely wrong and step on their toes, make terrible first impressions and miss out on great connections. And much more. In a nutshell, with great people skills, you can be more successful and happier. So, this training is very unlikely to be any cheaper than it is today. You can find all the information and sign up from the link in the description. I'll tell you all the secrets about people skills that I've learned that you can replicate what I have done or even more. And no, you will not be paying the same amount as for a university degree that costs like 45,296 USD or something. And I have a 100% money back guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, you will get your money back. I'm taking the risk for you because I believe in the training so much. And yes, I am trying to sell this to you. Why? Because selling is not disgusting. I don't believe so. I believe it's my obligation to try to get you in because I know how much this can benefit your life and it would be just a disservice if I would not try to get you in. So I'm using all the capabilities I have currently to get you in. I just don't want you to regret and experience the same pain as I did back in the day. But if you, for any reason, can't enroll, I'm gonna be still making these weekly YouTube videos and write newsletters and do this content consistently. So don't worry. The next few episodes are also going to be about human communication, the people skills, and I'll be trying to put as much effort and information into these as possible. I can't of course go as in depth into the subjects in these videos than compared to a live training. See how lengthy this video was just on the importance of video skills? You have no idea how long this has been taking me to record this. To be honest, I don't have an idea either. This has been going for ages now. And oh, the editing process. Jeez. But anyway, if you are interested, make sure to check the link down below in the description and sign up before the enrollment closes. I hope you study people skills, whether it is with me or without me, because this truly matters so much to how happy life you will live and how successful you'll get, which feeds into happiness as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reply to the comments or then email me at hello@hugokorhonen.com or then reach out to me via social media at HugoRapi. Thank you for watching this video and I truly hope you understand now much better why people skills matter now more than ever. Till next video, bye.